exam, investment and financial market exam. So, you know, this is the exam that is hosted by SOA. So you have to go to the website, and the very first thing you have to do is download the syllabus. And here I have the syllabus, and I take the latest update one, the July 2022, and just roll over a little bit. And if you want to understand how the exam look like, don't forget to read over the information on the front page so that you know what you have to do on the exam. So first of all, the exam will be 3 hours, and it consists of 30 multiple choice questions. And the only thing that you can bring to the test room is the symbol calculator TI 30XS or the financial calculator. You're not allowed to use the scientific calculator because the normal distribution calculator will be provided on the screen when you take the exam. And you will have like 30 question multiple choice. Each of them have 5 choices. So I think that's all you need to know. And now just take a look over the syllabus. If you look at the syllabus, like there are totally 10 topics that you have to go over. And I suggest you to learn the concept deeply and understand them deeply. Don't skip even a single line, because this exam is super comprehensive. It's not something that you just study so and you pass. You have to really understand it in order to pass the exam. So this, if you to find a way to deal with exam without understanding, IFM is not for you. It requires a lot of reading comprehension skills, a lot of mathematics skills, a lot of knowledge. And I think as an experienced learner, in order to pass the exam, you actually have to have good base in calculus 1, 2, 3, pre-calculus, algebra, probability, statistics, and advanced statistics level as well. So if you take a look at the syllabus, I just want to give you a little. So first of all, I'm gonna type it here. The first one is which topic. The first one is, should we follow the topics, the 10 topics, in the order from 1 to 10? For me, no. For me, no. The way I study for it is I start, my order is 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then go back to topic 3 and topic 5. And the reason for it is just the logic of it. So after I spent 2 years with exam, I noticed that 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, they really follow a flow. And topic 3 and 5 are considered to be on the side, and it requires a lot of reading. So I can say that the reason for it is that topic 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 follow a flow. And topic 3 and 5 require reading and reading. So usually, I don't know what about other. I usually start with the math stuff first, then go to the reading. And not only D10 topic, you also have to read over some of the material before you take exam. So if you scroll all the way down, to the bottom, there will be a couple of material that you have to read before you take exam. That is the measure of investment risk, Monte Carlo simulation, empirical evidence, and the efficient markets hypothesis. They have the link right here. You just have to double click on it. Or the actuarial application of option and other financial derivatives. There's a lot of reading. Alright, so as I said, like in order to practice for the exam, you start with topic 1, 2, skip number 3, and then go to 4 and skip number 5, and continue to finish. So today we would look at topic 1, and topic 1 here is the mean variance portfolio theory. Mean theory. Mean variance portfolio theory. So in this topic 1, you see like they have the bullet points, and there are 2 important parts. The first part is explain the mathematics and summary statistics of portfolios. I think topic 1 is the easiest to learn, and I'm going to type it here. So let me go back to here. So I'm going to say part 1A. Part A here is explain the mathematics and summary statistics of portfolio. So we would have calculated the risk and return of an asset given appropriate inputs. First, calculate the risk and return of an asset given appropriate input. And then the second thing you need to know is calculate the risk and expected return of a portfolio of many risky assets given the expected return, volatility, and correlation of returns of the individual assets. Okay, so let's just finish part A first before we move on to part B. And when you're done with the 2 part, you can mark on your note that you're done with topic 1. You can cross topic 1. So calculate risk and return of the assets. I'm going to insert like a table. So the first thing we need to know is I'm going to just give you some of the important formulas and important concepts. The first concept is, I'm going to say concept 1. Concept 1 is 1 period realized return, 1 period realized return, and during the time of the investment, as a shareholder, you would notice that either you would have capital gain or capital loss. So I would have like capital gain or capital loss is what is change in share price. Time number of share owns. See that? So we would have a capital gain if the change in share price is positive, and you have capital loss if the change in share price is negative. It's simply like this. It's simply like this. Let's say at today the stock price is 100. Then at time 1 the stock price is 102.5. And let's say you buy the number of share here is, let's say you buy like 10 share. So you see the stock price goes up, so we have the gain, right? Capital gain. Here is simply like the change in price is 102 minus 182 times what the number of shares, so you have 20 is a capital gain. Or if you have the stock price right now is 100, and then later on is 90, so you see that the stock price is really decreasing, so you have a capital loss. And the capital loss here is you see like 10 times 20 if you have 20 share, and that is 200. The reason why you don't have the negative here is because you say this is capital loss. You see that? Capital loss. And that should be equal to, so if I switch the terminology to capital gain, then it should be negative 200. See that? So if the capital gain is negative 200, then the capital loss is 200. Okay? That's the first concept. And then here, from here, you would have the realized return. The realized return here follow the formula that is you have dividend plus the capital gain. It should be dividend yield, not the dividend. The dividend yield rate plus the capital gain rate. So if you use the mathematical notation, you would have like R t plus 1 is equal to dividend at time t plus 1 divided by the price at time t plus the change in price, the change in price, I must say delta p from t to t plus 1 over p of t, and that should be equal to that should be equal to dividend at time t plus 1 over the prior time t plus change in prior here is pt plus 1 minus pt over pt theta. So this is how you calculate the real returns. It's simply like this. Let's say this is the time t, and now you have time t plus 1. So the real return, or t plus 1, would be, first of all, it should be dividend at time. Let's say if at time t plus 1 you will receive the dividend. So the real return, or t plus 1, is the dividend divided by the previous price, which is dividend t plus 1 over pt, and then you have the change in price, so you have pt plus 1 minus pt over pt. So this is the real return. This is the real return. So that is one more important concept. Now, so what I call here is something I call the theoretical. Is a theoretical rate of returns. Now, if we consider another one, concept 2. Concept 2, I'm gonna talk about the historical average return. Historical average returns and return variability. So let's say this. Let's say we have time, we have assessed price, we have dividend, and then we have the return. So time here, let's say time 0, time 1, 2, 3, and so on. So the asset price at time 0 is notated by P0, and the asset price at time 1 is P1, the asset price at time 2 is P2, and the asset price at time 3 is P3. And then let's say you start the investment at time 0, and then let's say at time 1 you receive the first dividend, which is dividend 1, and then dividend 2, and so on. Usually we don't receive the dividend at the time we start the investment, and the dividend are not necessarily to be the same. Sometimes it be at the time 1 you receive $10 dividend, time 2 you receive $20 dividend. They don't have to be the same. And then we have the return, real return at time 1, real return at time 2, and so on. And in order to do this one, you really just have to follow the formula. For example, R1 here is the dividend at time 1 divided by P1, and then plus the change in price, P1 minus P0 over P0. So let me just show you. Let me use different color. For example, R1 is dividend at time 1 over the previous price plus the change in price, so like P1 minus P0 over P0. So that is a real return. And also, so um, historical average return. Now, after first of all, you follow the formula of real return to calculate RT plus 1. And after that, let's say, let's R1, R2 to Rn, or the real return. Are the real returns. So we basically can consider this as a symbol. Right, this is a symbol. So we would have the historical average return. Return here is, this is simply the arithmetic mean. Arithmetic means the arithmetic mean, or the arithmetic average return, and it's simply just R bar, and that is sum of R I over N. See that? And then we would have the volatility, which is also the symbol volatility. We would have sigma hat here whole square is equal to 1 over t minus 1 sum of r I minus r bar whole square. See it? So this is how we calculate a historical average return and a volatility. This one is called a volatility. The symbol variance of the real return. So the volatility is simply just sigma hat. So we have sigma hat. See that? And okay, and now we have another concept. Concept 3 is about the compound annual return. Compound annual return. And so we would have like, let's say in a year we have 4 quarters. In a year there are 4 quarters. So let's RQ1 cube 2, cube 3, and r cube 4. Is, so you have the 1 plus r is 1 plus r cubed 1 times with 1 plus one plus r cubed 2 times with 1 plus r cubed 3 times with 1 plus r cubed 4 . Let me see what is the next concept that we have to know about this one. Alright, and then we have the geometric concept 4. The geometric average return is, you would have like let's say we consider over t years, and we have r is the geometric average return, so it should be equal to hold up, over t years, so we can have 1 plus r to the t is equal to 1 plus r1 times with 1 plus r2 times with 1 plus r3 times with 1 plus r4, and from here you can withdraw r is simply the t root of 1 plus r1 times with 1 plus r2 times with 1 plus r3 times with 1 plus r4, and minus 1. And then Okay, so now we go to a very important concept. That is so the next thing we are going to do is concept 5, which is something I call the risk premium assess. So we would have this risk premium of an asset is the assessed return, and that is the return on the assets minus the risk-free return. And the reason for it is like sometimes when you have an investment, you have to borrow money. So the return of the asset is actually the return rate that you got back from the investment. And the risk-free return here is, the interest rate that you have when you borrow or you lend money. So that's why the assessed return here is return on the assets minus the risk-free return. And then we have the Sharpe ratio of an asset. Sharpe ratio of an asset is equal to risk premium of that asset over volatility of return on that asset. So, one more thing that is important knowledge. What the Sharpe ratio measure? So the Sharpe ratio measure the return to the level of risk taken. This measure of return to the level of risk taken. Because you see, when you look at the Sharpe ratio, that is the risk premium of assets, which represents for the measure of return, and the volatility of return is simply the risk, the level of risk. So when you take the risk premium of an asset divided by volatility, you basically have the measure of return to the level of risk taken, and that's how we have Sharpe ratio. Okay, so I think that is everything we need to know about part A. And then part B I consider to be easy because it just requires some statistics and probability knowledge. So let's say calculate the risk and expected return of the portfolio. Let's see. So we would consider the simplest case. Consider the simplest case. That is the case of two risky assets. Two risky assets. So let's say consider a portfolio B consists of two assets, two risky assets, A and B. And when we say two risky assets, that means so we have what? We have, let's say RP here is distributed at WA RA plus WB LB where WA plus WB equal to 1. So when they consider the two risky assets, you would have like by the way, the two risky assets here mean the volatility is non-zero. Volatility is non-zero. Okay. So we have the expected return of the portfolio. That's the easy way. Expected return of RP is WA, expected return of RA expected return of RB and then we have so this is what we call expected return, and then we consider the volatility, the variance. So we would have variance of RP is variance of RB is WA squared variance of RA covariance of RA-RB So that is expected return and the variance, and then we have the volatility, and we have sigma p is simply just square root of variance of RP Alright, so the next one is about the covariance and correlation. Before we work on the correlation of the return, let's consider covariance between two covariance. Remember that covariance between x and y is the expected of x minus ex times y minus ey, and that is expected return of the product xy minus the expected return of x, expected return of y. And then we have a correlation coefficient. The correlation is defined as okay, so that's a correlation coefficient. So let's consider the returns. If you have like a covariance between RA and RB, it should be equal to expected return of RA, RB minus expected return of RA times expected return of RB. And then we have correlation coefficient between RA and RB is sigma B. Okay, so I think that is it for the topic 1A. Topic 1A, mean and bond portfolio theory. I'm so sorry, this is a public place, it's quite noisy. So this is everything you need to know about part A of topic 1. And let's do some example before we move on to topic part B of the topic 1. Let's consider example. Let's consider example 1. Consider a 10-year corporate bond with a par value of $1,000. And then here the bond which pays no dividend, no coupons, was issued 1 year ago, and the price at issue was 352.2. The current effective annual market interest rate is 7%. So the question is calculate the real return on the bond over the last year. So this is the first example. Solution. So first of all, let me record the real return on the bond over the last year. We have the real return over the past year is notated by R1. Which is equal to the dividend from time 0 to 1 over P0 plus P1 minus P0 over P0. So here's the one thing you notice, that is the bond here pay no coupons, so that means we don't have the dividend terms, and the estimate just the price of the bond at time 1 minus the price time 0 over time 0 price. The issue price was 352, which is P0. So this is simply P1 minus 352.2 over 352.2. So in order to complete this problem, we have to find P1. And you notice that we consider a 10-year corporate bond with a par value of 1,000, and the bond would pay no dividend. So during the whole year, you don't receive any coupons. There's no dividend. But at time 1, you receive 1,000. So if you look at the time chart, this is time 0, and this is time 1. At time 1, you receive 1,000. So the price of the bond is basically the present value of 1,000 at time 0, so which is just 1,000 over 1 plus I, where I is interest rate. So we have this is, the I is 7%, so we have P1, is simply equal to the par value, which is the amount of money that we receive at time 1 divided by 1 plus 0.07, and that is, let me see where my calculator at. So you have like 1,000 divided by 1.07, and that should be 934.58. And now we put it in here, so the answer to do some basic calculation. Oh, I'm so sorry, my bad, this is not correct. Let's go back here. This is time 10, and the bond was issued a years ago. So this is time 0, and this is a years ago, and the bond is issued for 9 years. Let me refresh. This is right now. The bond was issued a years ago, and then the type of maturity is at time 9, and we'll receive 1,000 at time 9. So the present value of 1,000 is 1,000 over 1 plus I to the 9. So it should be 1 plus 7 to the 9. Right for 3.93. $352.2 over 352.2. It should be 0.5444, which is 54.44%. See that? So that's how we deal with this problem. Now let's consider a couple more problems. Example 2. Consider a 10-year corporate bond with a par value of $1,000. The bond which pay 40 worth of coupons at the end of each year. Was issued years ago. And the price at issue was 731.6. The current effective annual market interest rate is 10%. So for this problem, it's also a 10-year coupon, a 10-year bond, but you have like $40 pay at the end of each year, and this question they ask you to compute the realized return on the bond over the last year. Okay, so that means, remember that the bond was issued a year ago, and so if you look at the time chart, the bonds was issued a years ago. This is the time that the bond will issue, and right now is now. And then the bond will expire at time 9. At time 9, you receive $1,000. Time 1, time 2, and so on to time 8. You receive $40, and so on, $40, and also $40 at now. So, I must say R0 is the realized return over the past 1 year. So if you follow my chart, it should be R0. But if you mark this as 0, if you use the time chart red color, 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on to 9 and 10, then you should notate it by R1. So whichever you want. Some people like to have the time chart like, some people like the time chart to be like, now is 1, and this is the time the bond was issued, and this is the time, this is the time when the bond expired, and the time the bond expired, you receive $1,000. At time 1, you receive 40, and so on, so on, so on, so on. See that? So, I'm going to say this is R1. And R1 is dividend at time 1 over P0 minus plus actually plus the change in price is P1 minus P0 over P0. You see it? So let me save this picture for a second. Okay. So I'm gonna copy that picture and put into my folder. Copy, and I'm gonna put it right here. Okay, so you can see it better. Alright, so you see that we have R1 is simply dividend at time 1 over P0 plus the change in price, which is P1 minus P0 over P0. See that? The dividend at time 1 is 40. P0 is given at 331. So we have to find P1. Right. So here that is 40 over 731.6 plus P1 minus 731.6 over 731.6. Okay, so now let's consider P1. P1 here is, you notice that it should be the present value of all of the coupon and the par value. So it should be, I have, that is P1 is the present value of 1,000 plus the present value of the coupons. See here. So it should be, first of all, is 1,000 time with let me notate one more thing. If I set V equal to 1 over 1.1, then V here should be 0.9091. So we have, let me fix this for a second. It should be 1,000 V to the 9. There's a present value of 1,000 because we consider at time 1, and 1,000 is paid at time 10, so the present value of 1,000 is 1,000 V to the 9. And then you already consider 40 here at the dividend, so we have to start by the second dividend, which is 40 times with V plus V squared plus dot to V to the 9. V to the 9. Okay, so it should be equal to 1,000 over 1,000 times 0.909, so 909.1 plus 40V times with 1 minus V to the 9 over 1 minus V. This is just a simple geometric series, and that should be equal to, remember V is 0.909, so we have 1 minus V to the 9 divided by 1 minus V Let me find my calculator for a second. I forgot my pen. It should be 230. So together it should be 654.4586. Sorry, this line is not correct. 1,000 times 1.1 to the negative 9 is 424.0976. And now we have the real return. We got R1 will be equal to 40 over 731.6 plus 654.4586 minus 731.6 over 731.6, and that should be equal to negative 0.0507, which is negative 5.77. So negative 5.077%. So that's a real return of this problem. And then I'm gonna do 2 more examples and we're done for today. Example 3. You invest $4,000 in a mutual fund for a year and earn a return of 100%. You then reinvest proceeds again and earn a return of 50% over the next year. Okay, so in this problem we focus on the arithmetic average and the geometric average in the historical return topic. So all we have to do is just follow the formula. Okay, so for the arithmetic average return over the past 2 years, we would have R bar equal to R1 plus R2 over 2, and that should be equal to 100% plus negative 50% over 2, and that is 25%. And then the geometric average return over 2 years period is R is equal to R1 hold up you have like 1 plus R squared is equal to 1 plus R1 times 1 plus R2, and that should be equal to 1 plus 1%, which is 1 plus 1 times with 1 minus 0.5, and that is 2 times 0.5, which is 1. So R becomes square root of 1 minus 1, which is 0. Okay. Right, so that is example 3. Now let's do one more example before we end this live stream. Okay, so let's do this problem. Example 4. Example 4 is Albert want to invest in 2 different stocks, A and B. Part I, stock A has an expected return of 10% and a volatility of sigma. Okay, so we have 2 stocks in the portfolio. Stock A has the expected return of 10% with a volatility of sigma. Stock B has an expected return of 20% with a volatility of 1.5 sigma. And now we have the weight of it is not given. But after investing in both stocks, the expected return on Albert portfolio is 14%. and the volatility is sigma. So the question is find the correlation coefficient between the returns of on A and B. Okay, let's bring the symbol down here. So first of all, we have to specify the target. We want to find the correlation coefficient between the return on A and B. So basically the question wanted to find correl between RA and RB, right? And remember that correlation coefficient is just covariance between RA, RB over sigma A, sigma B, and that is simply just expected return of RA, RB minus expected return of RA, expected return of RB over sigma A, sigma B. Right. So in order to do this problem, we have to find sigma. So I'm gonna say let's P be equal to X or A plus 1 minus X or B, because the portfolio consists of only two stocks, A and B. So let's say if X is the weight of stock A in the portfolio, then the weight of stock B should be 1 minus X. So the sum of the weight is exactly 1. And now we are going to make use of the information that given. We got expected return of stock A at 10%, stock B is 20%, and the volatility. So we're going to make use of the information. We have the expected return of the portfolio 14% is equal to expected return on RB, and that is equal to X times expected return of RA plus 1 minus X expected return of RB and that should be 0.1X plus 1/8 is 0.2 times with 1 minus X, and that should be equal to 0.2 minus 0.1X. So from here we got X is .6. See that? So the portfolio now is 0.6 RA plus 0.4 RB. And now we make use of the last information, the volatility. We have sigma is equal to sigma P. So we have the variance sigma square is sigma P square, and that is equal to 0.6 square sigma 8 square which is sigma squared. Hold on. Plus 2 times 0.6 times 0.4. Okay. So from here, remember that the voltage of stock A is sigma, and the voltage of stock A is 1.5 sigma. So we have sigma squared is equal to 0.36 sigma squared plus remember that sigma B is 1.5 sigma and sigma A is sigma. So I have 0.72 sigma squared plus 0.16 times 1.5 squared sigma squared. See that? Oh, actually this is not necessarily. The next thing we have to find is vectors of RA minus RB. Oh, I think I got one mistake here. I forgot one more thing here. There is a rule here, which is the correlation coefficient between A and B. So actually we don't really have to follow this formula because correlation coefficient is simply just rho between A and B. So this one sigma squared times rho A and B. And from here we can withdraw rho. Zero point 0.3 okay, and this is the correlation coefficient between stock A and stock B returns. Alright, so I think that's it for the third topic, the part 1 of the third topic. So I'm gonna post this video on YouTube when I have time. I hope you all enjoy, and I'll be back tomorrow to continue on part B. Alright.